What's up, buddy?
I'm going live on my podcast. Let me call you back. James Krause. Thank you. Bye. Live, bam. 20 seconds in, answering phone calls. How disrespectful can you be?
Let me try to figure out this situation really quick. Are we on? Are we live?
We are, but it's my show. We do what I want.
I just need to figure out my
Ladies and gentlemen, notice James Krause in his natural environment preparing for a podcast, a behind-the-scenes look.
All right.
At a UFC fighting and coaching legend as he prepares his hair.
Oh, man, that's got to practice. I'm hurting. My back hurts. My hair's jacked. Let's rock it.
How's your sack? How's your scrotum?
It's good. My back, not my sack.
Buddy, I know, but I'm just checking the vitals.
We're good.
James, I want to put your correct Instagram account in here. Is it just at James Krause?
The James Krause.
Oh, God, I love it.
Buddy, I'm hurting. God bless.
I'm just staring. I'm just in awe. I'm just in awe. I'm just a simple man trying to get a podcast off the ground and suckering fucking busy overachievers like you into my world.
We good.
What did you do this morning? By the way, I'm Sevan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What did you do this morning?
Just some MMA stuff, striking and takedowns, some transitional stuff.
Because if you don't fight this year, it'll be the first time you haven't fought at least once a year since 2000. Uh-oh, my note's looking complete. Well, I looked last night, 2007?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you going to get a fight this year?
Probably not.
Oh, and are you okay with breaking the streak?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of at a point now where coaching is taking a lot of my time. So, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really, even if I never fought again, I would be good with it.
I know. I hear you saying that last night. I'm just watching video after video after video. By the way, there is a 3-part series on James Krause. It's 3 short videos. Is it called The Fight Game 1, 2, and 3? What is that? It was just released in August.
Yeah.
What do you remember the name of it?
I think it is The Fight Game.
And if you just type in James Krause into YouTube when you search, you'll see this 3-part series. Whether you're a fight fan or not, you have to see this. It's beautifully shot. It's great insight into just humans. I thoroughly enjoyed it. In there and in other videos, you say that hey, like your whole deal is now like you never wanted to be a champion necessarily yourself, but you want to have you want to have champions in your stable. And I was like, do I believe him? Like, or do you have to say that like as a psychological exit strategy? I know you're like, I don't give a fuck what you believe.
No, you go back, find me an interview where I've ever said that I wanted to be a champion. You won't find one. I've never said that. I've never given a shit. For me, I said this from the get-go. Fighting fighting to me was, sorry, I'm a little under the weather. Fighting.
No, do it. I get it.
It's just a platform, man. Like I enjoy it. I enjoy competing, but like I've always said, like I won't. That's not the thing for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna do something different, and I've used it to. There's 3 things that I wanted to have, and if you listen to enough interviews, you've probably heard this as well. There's 3 things that I wanted to have at the end of this, at the end of me competing as a fighter, as an athlete. There's one is I wanted to go out on a win. 2 is I wanted to go out on my terms, not the UFC's. You know, like I see too many guys that are like UFC kind of has to nudge them and be like, hey man, like you lost 3 in a row, you don't have any more. Let's part ways. I don't want to do that. You know, I want to leave on my terms, not somebody else's. And then last but not least is I just wanted to create some financial security from being an athlete. And I've done all 3 of those things. If I quit right now, all 3 of those things are accomplished. I don't need to fight anymore. You know, my bills are paid. I'm going out. I won my last fight. And I would pick my own terms. So if I never fought again, I would be good with it.
This blue sex machine you drive, what is that?
Oh, I just sold it.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Why did you sell it? And this is tied to the fact of not what kind of car you drive, but being financially responsible is where I'm headed.
Yeah. So I sold it because, well, the real answer is somebody offered me 30 grand more than I paid for it.
It's crazy you say that. I have a friend who was just trying to buy a Porsche. I don't know what kind it was, but it was $220,000. He went to the Porsche dealership in Scottsdale. He put the money down. 6 months later, they still didn't have it for him. So he bought a used one in Florida for $270,000. I'm like, what the is it something like that? Like you had something?
Yeah, I don't buy cars. So I'm part owner in a car dealership as well. So I don't buy cars to I buy cars that are really cool, that hold value, that I can drive for free for 6 months to a year, and I sell them for what I paid for them or more.
18-1 in your first 19 fights. Is that correct?
Amateur, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Did you fight as a kid? Like, how did you know you were a good fighter?
No, I did not. I'm a competitor. I'm not a fighter. Like I think I've evolved into a fighter, but I wasn't a fighter starting out. Like I didn't get into a bunch of fights as a kid or anything like that. I just really enjoyed the sport. I enjoyed the physicality mixed with the mental behind it. Like you could outsmart people. You could, I'm really good at adapting. And I've always been good. I've always been that guy that like got the weird awards, like the Hustle Award. And I got a couple of team MVPs and stuff like that. But I never, like I was good across the board. And I think if you're good across the board in this sport, you can be a really good fighter. And that's what kind of drew it to me, is you can out athlete people, you can outsmart people. And the sizes are the same, because coming up in high school, I was small. I was really small. I graduated at 5'8". I think I'm 6'2" now. So,
wow.
Yeah.
You said that in one of your interviews. You said, "Hey, you can be B- at everything, and be the best." And it's interesting you say that, because where I come from, the world I come from, I was an executive over at CrossFit Inc. I worked there for 15 years, from when it started to like its heyday. I ran the media department there, ESPN, all that shit. Yeah. So, in CrossFit, you never have to win an event. You take 5th place in every single event at the games, and you're going home with the $250,000 check. But how do you explain that in fighting? So just so you know, my fighting background is cannot stand any sports, because I think sports are a fucking waste of time to watch. But for some reason, I have this disgusting addiction to UFC, and I haven't missed a UFC on a Saturday in I don't know how many years, right?
It's not a sport. It's not a sport. It's the most primitive form in mankind. I mean, we've been fighting since we were created, since as far back as we know. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a sport. Basketball was originated in X date. Football was originated on this date. Fighting has been here since the beginning of time. People have been fighting over food and survival since mankind was started. So this is literally, I always say this, and once again, I feel like you've done a lot of research on me, which is really cool. I say this all the time. Fighting is the most primitive thing you can have. It's the end of the road. So like, this is kind of like one of the things for me is like, okay, like you can go back and forth with somebody like, hey, I have more money than you, I'm faster than you, I'm stronger, blah, 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 blah. It ends with, I can beat you up. Like, you can't top that. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how much more money somebody has, if you can beat them up, that's like, it's the end of the road. You know what I mean? Like I could kill you if I want to, and that's it. You know what I mean?
It's the ultimate metric for the pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
Who gets to pick the bananas from the tree first, and who gets to fuck the girls?
I mean, yeah, whatever it is you want. That's it's the most primitive form of that.
If you can beat me up, you get to pick the cave, the girl, and which banana tree gives the fruit at the first.
I mean, even take it a step farther though. Like, if I can beat you up, I can kill you.
Right.
I can do whatever I want to. I'll kill you if I want. You know what I mean? Like, I can kill you. And that's what are you gonna? You have more money than me? I can kill you with my bare hands.
Right.
Like, it's over. There's no. What is your argument to that? I can kill you, and there's no You know what I mean? And it's kind of stupid to sound, but it's like,
no, it's just to put it in context.
Yeah.
Just for context. It's not like we're saying that's what it's about, but it's to show like at this level, this component does exist in the sport. On a totally different tangent, I just want to go on a little rant here. It reminds me, these fucking people who like cross the street when they say they have the right of way, or when they do things that they have the right of way, or when you flip someone off just out, like, don't forget, it doesn't matter if you're right, if you've been hit by a car, or if someone kills you, or like staying alive is like the most important thing so that you can continue in the game. Do you know what I'm referencing? Like someone will just be like, I have the green light, I'm crossing the street. That motherfucker ran the red light, I'm just going. I'm like, no, I'll wait over here till the car's gone. Like, I don't want to die.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're, yes. It's not that important to me. Cause listen, and that's another thing, as we're talking about, I was somewhere the other day and I was, somebody was leaning over a deck and it was really high up, and they're like, why don't you lean over? I was like, no, man, I hang around people all day. I know there's too much human error. I don't trust somebody to install that fucking balcony correctly. Like, you know what I mean? I don't trust people.
Yeah.
I don't trust people.
And plus, what's the risk to it? So yesterday, a very good friend of mine sent me a picture of a woman. She had her 2 kids in a bathtub, and then her newborn sitting on the bathroom floor, and she was doing lunges with a 20-pound dumbbell over her head. And everyone was celebrating that there's 400 comments saying that, like, hey, look at this mom still getting in time to work out, no excuses. But all I saw was a 20-pound dumbbell over a baby's head. And I'm like, I don't. The risk to benefit ratio is so out of whack there. And like people, my friends like, no, I quit being like that. I'm like, nah, I gotta be like that. You got to protect the kids at all costs. I'm all for mamas working out. Like, but fuck, man.
Yeah, man.
And again, I'm talking to a guy that gets punched in the face for a living.
No, man, it's really not that. It's not that deep though, man. It really isn't. Like, man, it's why I watch football on Sundays, man. Those guys are getting hit way harder than I am. You know what I mean? They're getting hit by fucking science experiments. You know what I mean? Like, I got hit by a dude that's the same size as me. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are getting blindsided by 250-pound linebackers that can run a fucking 4.3 40. You know what I mean? And it's the equivalent of a 35-mile-an-hour car crash. I'm not getting hit like that. Yeah.
The NFL players I've talked to, there was a lineman who played for like 13 years named John Wellborn. He ended up coming into the CrossFit space, and he was basically just telling me about basically every game getting hit so hard by another guy in the head that you want to vomit, and that was just normal.
They're literally getting concussions every single game. Every game. And when you get a concussion on top of a concussion, like, man, this is a sensitive subject, but that's why you've seen a lot of these guys kill themselves and kill their whole families and shit like that, is they're fucked up in the head, man. Like, and that's something I'm really big on, a style of fighting. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like style of running back. Are you evasive or are you a hammer? You know what I mean? Like, if you're hitting, I'm not hitting people, man. I'm trying to go around people. Like, I don't want to get hit. I don't want those car crashes, man. Like, that's not my style. And if you watch me fight, like, I'm very evasive and I don't get hit clean that often, you know? So, I feel like my brain still works really well. I mean, I bet everybody says that, but you know, you can watch my fights. You know, I don't really get hit clean that much.
How old are you?
35.
I'm surprised to hear you say that you watch football just now, that you have time for football. You have a family. You have 2 families. I don't know if you compartmentalize them, but you basically have 2 families. You have a wife and kids, and then you got these gym people who can't stop like just loving on you, and everyone is just says so many nice things about you. You have time to sit down on Sunday?
First of all, I'm not married anymore. We just got divorced. All good. No, it's a good thing on both sides. All good.
Okay.
Still very cordial.
Congratulations, by the way. Not on the divorce, but like respect
we're
and dignity with everyone is important, especially when there's kids involved.
Yeah, we're still great. I wouldn't say that I have time to sit down all Sunday and watch football, but I try to I try to follow it. You know what I mean? I follow it. That's better. I follow it. If I have time, I will. Like, I watched a little bit of the game last night because my son goes down at like 6:30, and my daughter wanted to be upstairs in her room by herself and watching her iPad. So I had a little bit of free time by myself, and it's good for me. It's good for me sometimes to do that, you know. I typically don't. I won't just sit there and watch a whole game. Never. You know what I mean? I'm on my iPad working, and it's on as I'm doing something else typically, but I'll follow it for sure.
There's this term that word used, sacrifice, that's thrown around a lot. I sacrifice this, I sacrifice that. And maybe it's just my problem with the word, but I don't like the word. I think like you have a choice to do what you want to do.
Sure.
Like when I walk by the fucking croissant and cookie case today at the coffee shop and I don't choose to eat one, I'm not making a sacrifice. Like,
yeah, I'm with that.
And yet I hear someone, I feel like when I know it's your personal life, but like, so you just said you just went through a divorce, but like, I don't think like your business is suffering. So I don't want to say that you made a sacrifice, but we have to prioritize what's important to us, right?
Definitely.
And what's going to get us ahead for what we want and what makes us happy.
I mean, essentially, yeah. I mean, that's, man, and without going into it, it's like, that's kind of when you're with somebody for so long, I think we tend to grow apart. We're growing apart every day, right? Like that's why marriage is work, is because you gotta work together. And essentially what had happened with us is what was important to me was no longer important to her, and vice versa. And that doesn't mean we hate each other. Like I still love her. She still loves me. We're very cordial with one another. For the kids, we talk every day. I still love her in a different way now, but we're still very, very cordial. And, we just, our interests grew apart, and it is what it is.
How do you know how to do that?
I think.
Did you have a role model? Like, how do you know not
to? Yeah,
like,
what not to do.
My parents are divorced. And they're cordial too. Like growing up, we still did Thanksgiving and Christmas together. And like, I never saw them fight, but like, and I learned that from watching them, right?
Yeah.
Like when I break up with girlfriends, I don't fight with them, even if they want to like fight with me. Like, I just don't do it.
I learned that as well. The opposite though. I learned what not to do. My mom and dad really didn't get along that much, and I just didn't like it. It wasn't a healthy environment. So,
so you're like, fuck that. I'm not doing that to my kids.
Nah, man, it's not their problem. You know what I mean? It's not their problem. I feel like whenever you choose to have a kid, whenever you say, hey, listen, I'm going to have a child, and both mine were planned. If you say, listen, I'm going to have a kid, or even if you don't plan on having a kid, but there's another choice that you make somewhere along the road to do what you got to do without that. But if you make that
vaginal intercourse, you mean vaginal intercourse without protection?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you make that choice, you're essentially, for me, you're saying, I'm no longer living life for myself. I'm willing to live life for somebody else. And all my wants and needs come secondary to this thing that I brought into this world. Is now my responsibility 100%. So just because my ex and I have problems, that's not my kid's fault. That's not their problem. That's not my kid's fault. And I'm not going to let that affect their upbringing. And obviously to a degree, you know what I mean? Like, I have to be happy, and my ex-wife has to be happy as well. Because, there's a reason they tell you to put your mask on first before you put somebody else's mask on. Because if you're not happy, you can't make somebody else happy, So, yeah, I mean, it's essentially you choose to help this other person first. So that's just what we're doing. We're doing what we agreed to, and that's helping our kids become great adults and good people. And that our wants and needs come secondary to them.
James said something in there that sounds really scary when you hear someone else say it about putting someone else before you. And I think that's why some people don't have kids or are afraid to have kids. But I want to tell you something. If you are ready for that in your life, there is a freedom that you can't even fucking explain when you put someone else before you at all times. There is, and you would be surprised how you step up to it. Like, I hate being awakened in the middle of the night. I always have. Don't fuck with me. But if I wake up at 3 a.m. and like I hear a sound, I go straight to my kid's room now. No problem. I see my kid stumbling around the house at 2 a.m. looking for the bathroom. I get up and go in there with them and rub his back while he pees. I mean, and I'm like looking at myself like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, this isn't me. But you will do anything for these fuckers.
There's a certain level of love that you bring that is not, you can't have for any other person or mom, dad, spouse. It's not there. And it's only for your kids. I do think that there's a special type of love that is reserved only for your kids and nobody else. And you can't really experience that or anything close to it until you have your own kids.
I wonder if this is a bit of a stretch, but I'm open to exploring it. I wonder if fighters are more in tune with that because they're already more in tune with like the deep biological implications of having a kid and doing anything for them to survive. I wonder if they're more in tune with that because they're already in tune with the fact of just fighting for survival.
Maybe kids will make you soft too, though, man. I don't recommend young fighters have kids, man. I don't. They'll make you soft. Don't tell me, hey, tell me you didn't get soft after you had kids.
James, well, so that's going to let me switch to our next thing, and I was so excited to hear you say this because it made me feel better about my own upbringing. But by the way, a guy named Dylan Vowell just gave $20 to the show. Thank you, Sevan, for getting fighters on, especially this legend. Can I ask James a question? How does amateur debut differ from pro debut? Is there anything unique in your approach to a fight? That's 2 questions. You got to give another $20 for that second question. No, I'm joking.
I mean, it kind of depends on where you're at. Really, state to state, the rules change. Obviously, like in my state, elbows are the biggest difference. Pretty much one of the only differences is amateurs can't throw elbows. And this isn't like at the wide range, not at the beginning range, because I don't think there's a skill level between there's good amateurs that are better than bad pros. So it's not necessarily a skill level thing, but on a broader scale, the skill level is much different, you know? And the thing that I tell about going pro is if you're on the fence about going pro and amateur, stay amateur, because you can always have another amateur fight. But once you make the decision to go pro, you can never go back. You can never go back. It's so like your record can be 18-0, 47-0. And if you take one bad fight as a pro, you can start 0-1 and nobody gives a shit about the 47-0. So just make sure that you're ready from that step from amateur to pro, you know, you're ready. And I always have my guys take a really tough amateur fight because most high level amateurs are better than your lower level pros or maybe even mid-level pros, man. Some of them are, you know, I wish you guys could see what I'm set up with right now. It's like a plant with my phone on this plant. But just testing yourself physically, but most importantly, not physically, technically, because those are 2 things that obviously we're always trying to get better. Mentally, like, have you seen some adversity in a fight? I always try to give my guys adversity. Like, I want to see how you swim in deep water, you know, and that's, if you could swim in deep water, overcome some adversity, that's what I like to see before you take the professional level. Because there's a lot of pros that aren't very skilled, but they're tough and they'll hang around and they'll take you to deep water and they'll test your mentality. And, that's the biggest difference, I think, is some of those guys just don't go away. You know what I mean? And that's a big one.
Is deep waters when your mind is telling you to stop, but like I hear the commentators go, oh, that guy's withering. Does that mean like you're letting your thoughts
you're
dictate?
Getting tired. You're tired. You're beat up. You're not making good decisions. Like the more tired you get, the more sloppy you get, the worse decisions you make. I mean, you're starting to melt, you know what I mean? Like your cardio's not there. You're going away. Your body language shows your, you know, shit. Like I want my guys to be mentally tough. I want them to hang through, you know, I want them to stay strong mentally. Like if you can overcome some mental adversity as an amateur, I highly suggest you do that before you go pro. Highly.
Like Costa and Vittori, like that was crazy. Like you saw Costa wilt, and then is that all just mental toughness? How he came back and fought fought his ass off for 4 rounds?
Yeah.
I mean, that was nuts, right?
Yeah, at that level, it's at that level. I mean, it's expected. You know, not everybody has it, but that's expected at that level. I mean, those guys are elite level athletes. You know, they're top 5 in their class. You know what I mean? Like you would expect that from those 2.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to me. So James said that having kids would make you soft, and that would to tell you something very interesting. So how different James and I are. James was tough guy over here, and he had kids and made him soft. I was a fucking pussy, and I had kids, and it made me hard. What do I mean by that? Like I was seriously knew that if I was sleeping in bed and I heard someone break into my house before I had kids, that I would climb out the window. Like I knew, like I wasn't interested in hurting anyone, fighting with anyone, any of that shit. I had kids. I got a bob. I started taking striking classes. I got a gun. And now when I hear sounds in the yard, I get out my gun and I walk around the yard with my gun and my fucking flashlight. And like if you came into my house and like you were a threat to my kids, you'd have like it would be bad for you. And I don't even know how that happened. It wasn't a conscious decision, but like for me, it,
I think that's your natural role as a parent
Yes.
to protect
Yes.
your kids, protect you. I mean, that's biologically wired in you.
Right. But it's sort of the opposite. If you're already like, you had already tapped into that before you had kids.
I mean, I see where you're going with it. I kind of disagree though, because like, I mean, dude, honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with jumping out a window. Like, you're just trying to avoid conflict. You're trying to avoid a life and death situation. There's nothing wrong with that. But now you don't have that option because you've checked the box that says I'm now obligated to protect this guy over here or this little thing over here. And I don't have the option anymore to jump out that window.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if your kid was in your arms and you could safely jump out a window, no problem.
Right.
You would do it. But that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So like now you're like, I got to make a stand because you are wired biologically in your DNA to protect your young. You know, that's I mean, it's wired in your brain to do that. It's wired in all of our brain, and not even us, any animal. It's wired to do that. Well, so
unfortunately, I see a lot of people not standing up for their kids these days. It's really sad, but different subject.
Yeah.
There, in one of your, I'm 49 and I'm in the last, I've gone through quite the transformation in the last 15 years. Basically, I was raised to avoid discomfort at all costs. I was raised in a hardcore liberal family. I was raised to not enjoy sweating, but I did know hard work because I come from immigrants. So, like working 365 days a year, 16-hour days, no problem, like grind. But by avoid discomfort, like not work out, not maybe, it's kind of, I hate to make it political, but it was this really liberal mindset, like this just whole peace, love, hug everyone, peace is the answer, blah, 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 etc. And I like it. I like the thought of it. And then I found CrossFit when I was 34. And one of the tenets of CrossFit that Greg Glassman, the founder, is that suffering or discomfort at a super high level forces the body into really, really gnarly adaptation. And so doing 400-meter sprints is better than long distance running because you get immediate adaptation without the risk of so much injury of running the marathon, for example. And as I did more and more CrossFit, my mindset changed. And now I'm as you've seen what's happened in the last 3 years in this country, what I call the victocracy is trying to take over. And I believe that when you blame people or you're offended by someone, that's the opposite of enlightenment, the opposite of happiness. So if someone says, "You big nosed bastard," if I get offended by that, then it's like that's my discomfort. But if I go, "Yeah, you're right. The bastard part's not right because my dad's still alive and around, but the big nose part's spot on," and I just chill. Yeah. That's where all happiness is. And I heard, so I know you're wondering where this is going. I heard you say that you came from a victim mindset growing up.
Definitely.
Can you explain to me what that is? That like just like blaming other people? What is that? And how did, and more importantly, how did you change? What caused you to awaken?
Yeah, I mean that the victim mentality would be, it's never my fault. That person got lucky, or no responsibility. Place blame on others. It's any of that stuff. You know what I mean? Basically. I think the biggest one is accountability. Like there's no self-accountability and there's no self-audit. But I had somebody kind of take me under their wing and really help me out with that, gave me all the books to read, and really did a great job helping me out with that. And it changed my life. I started reading books that talk about power of positive thinking, setting goals, what wealthy people do. Think and Grow Rich is a great one. Just Think and Grow Rich is essentially the study of billionaires and millionaires. Like who wouldn't want to do, like the art of emulation is such a key thing. Like if somebody has something that you want, just do what they do to get it. Act like they act. You know what I mean? It's not like we're not reinventing the wheel here. You know what I mean? Like just do what that person is doing. And it's such a simple thing, and just people don't do it. People, like I have people that like, "Hey man, like, how do I get what you have?" I was like, "Listen, you don't want the answer to that. I'm just telling you right now, you don't want my schedule." Because people will try. They'll try to hang, and they never do.
It's interesting you say that. If I would have told you if I would have told a 20-year-old James Krause, "Hey, this is what your next 15 years are. This is the pile of work you have to do over the next 15 years. You to run the other way."
Man, it's not even. I can't even begin to fathom what that even looks like. It's not even close, man. Not even. I was a shithead, bro. Like, it's not even close. I would tuck tail fast.
Dylan Val, seriously, this guy just gave another $20 and he said, that's an incredible detailed response. Definitely deserves another $20. Thank you for that. How much does it cost for a shameless plug for my amateur debut November 5th? It's done, Dylan. Tell us where and how we can watch it, and I'll read that off too. James, I know I don't have a lot of time with you. Your show that's the pros pick show, the show's pro pick show. How long have you been doing that, and how did you why and how? And the reason why I'll tell you why I ask after you tell me.
So actually that show is brand new. We just I was doing a show with ESPN and it didn't end up working out. Anyway, long story short, Nick and I started this new show. It's doing really well, and I built kind of a following from the ESPN show, and people were hitting me up for betting picks. It's something I'm pretty good at, and so I give my best pick out for every card, and it's a pretty cool deal, man. Like I've done really well in betting on MMA. It's the only thing I bet on. I'm pretty good at it, and we've done it. I think this will be our third week doing it.
Okay, if something happens and that show falls out, I want to do a show with you.
Okay.
I know we just met, but I'm telling you, I want to do a show with you. Glover and Jan. Jan. I get my wait. I'm getting them all confused because of Jan also on the card.
Peter Jan and Jan Blachowicz.
Jan, yeah. You picked Glover, right? No, you picked Jan.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that because I feel like and I'm like I said, I'm no fighting expert. I'm just pure fan. But I feel like what you see happen to Glover is someone punches. This is going to be so crude. Someone punches Glover. He gets knocked out. As he gets knocked out, he falls on top of you and wins the fight. I mean, you know, kind of what
there's more to it than that, but yeah. I mean, he tends to get hurt first, and then he comes back, grapples people, takes them down. They get tired trying to hurt him, trying to hit him. And I just don't see Jan getting tired, and he's got real power. He's got some really good power. He's a champion for a reason. I just don't see that happening with him. I see him, if he hurts Glover, I think he's going to put him away.
Okay, what about the fact that he just had a kid and having kids makes you soft? And does he have any business bringing his kid to the fucking fight? I mean, I love the guy. I also love Glover too. He used to be a CrossFitter. I filmed with him a few times back in the 15 years ago. I want Glover to win, so maybe I'm just biased.
I'm not big on the kid thing, but everybody's different. Like Tim Elliott is dude I coach, one of my really good friends. He doesn't mind bringing his kid. He doesn't anymore, but he used to. It doesn't really bother him. You know, it affects everybody differently. There's no way I could ever bring my kids. Not a fucking chance. I'm not big on that. You know, whenever you're talking about in the medieval times when they went to duel to the death, you didn't bring your kids. You know, you left the women and children at home. You know what I mean? They don't need to see that stuff. Not to sound sexist or anything like that. I'm not saying the women have to stay at home. That's not what I'm getting at. You don't bring your kids and stuff like that. That's just anyway. But I agree. Yeah, if you don't, it's just, man, I'm not trying to have my kids see me get knocked unconscious or anything like that. You know, I think having kids will make you soft over time, and that doesn't. I think kind of is like it just chips away at you. You know what I mean? I don't think it'll be a problem here though.
Dustin Gregory, I love the chemistry y'all have. Even though you guys just met, you definitely need a show together, dude. I am courting fucking James Krause like a motherfucker right now. I'm glad
you like the show because I feel like shit right now, and I feel like I'm doing a terrible interview.
This is as real as I can get. And James teaches Sevan about MMA. I know. I would. What if I could have him on once a week and just pick his brain on shit? Okay. You pick. So I want Sandhagen to win too. But I don't think Peter Yan. I mean, I know that you guys aren't supposed to think like this, but I don't think Peter Yan is human.
He's really good. But I'll tell you what, Aljamain made him look really human in round one of their first fight. And I think Sandhagen can pick at him and and do that for 5 rounds. I think it's going to be a really competitive fight back and forth.
So what happened to Aljamain? You think he got tired? That was cardio?
Yeah, he's not a striker. He's a grappler, man. He doesn't have that type of cardio to keep that type of that volume of striking up for 25 minutes. And Sandhagen does though.
Can I go to the following next week at all?
Sure.
Fine. What about Gaethje and Chandler? I mean, are you just, first of all, before you tell me what you think, does that, like, do you get excited about fights? Like,
oh yeah.
All right, so when you see that, are you like, oh shit?
Oh yeah, that's a fun one. That's
like you're not supposed to mix oil or water in a hot oiled pan. Like
there's violence written all over that. I like that. That's a fun one. I'll be honest. I have Gaethje in that. I feel pretty strongly about that one.
Is that because is that emotional for you? Is that because no, it's not like just Chandler's the new kid or anything.
I don't know either one of these guys. I mean, personally, it's extremely not. I'm pretty unemotional when it comes to anything, but especially betting. I just feel like Gaethje's a really tough matchup for Chandler. I mean, Chandler has the ability to smoke anybody, but I like the low kick from Gaethje a lot, and Chandler's shown in the past that he has difficulty with that. And I feel like as the fight progresses, Gaethje gets better, and Chandler tends to fade a little bit. He's tough at the start, but if Gaethje can kind of hide behind that high guard, I feel like prolonging the fight and making it and dragging out. Is that 3 rounds or 5? Is that 5? That's 5. Is that main event?
That's a good. No, it's not a main event.
If it's 3 rounds, that favors Chandler.
Dude, I don't even think that's the co-main event. Do you know that?
Get out of here. No, it's got to be. It's got to be a co-main.
No, they got the men's championship fight, and that
is that Covington Usman?
Yeah, and then they got like a woman's belt fight.
Oh,
and then I think it's that fight. That dude, that card is crazy. I'll pull it up right now.
Weili and Rose, right?
Oh yeah. How amazing is Rose? Rose is Go. Tell me how amazing Rose is. As a fan, incredible. I'm just dumbfounded by her.
She's incredible. Both those women are incredible. I got to watch Weili and Joanna in person. I was front row for that fight. I mean, shotguns going off the whole time. But Rose is just so dynamic with her striking. She's so elusive. I mean, she's a sniper out there. It's a really, really good fight. I mean, that card is insane.
She's special, right?
Very, very, very good.
Dylan gave another 20. Dylan, you got to stop. You're going to go broke.
Let's go, Dylan.
James' perspective on life and insight as a father is amazing. I 100% agree with Mr. Gregory. Thank you so much for you both. No problem. Someone said the fight's 3 rounds, Chandler and Gaethje.
Really? If it's 3 rounds, that does help. That does help Chandler. I will say that. If it's 5 rounds, I lean Gaethje heavily. But 3 rounds, I think helps Chandler quite a bit.
If you
it's still going to be mass chaos, though, no doubt.
It is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I almost feel bad saying this, but I really hope Colby wins too. I really, 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 I just like his work ethic. I mean, I think Usman's just a terror. I no disrespect to him, but I just love Cole. I've always been enamored by Colby's.
I'm indifferent on that. I like, if it doesn't matter to me. I mean, Colby winning would be cool just to shake up the division. He's a shit talker. It would cause some chaos in that division, which I really like, but I'm indifferent on it.
If you're in the corner and when one of your fighters takes a fight and you don't think he's going to win, what do you do with that thought?
Don't take it.
No, but do you tell your fighter that? Or do you just try to push it away? Do you just move on to the next thought?
I would just say it's a really tough matchup for us, man. I've said that. It just doesn't make sense. If you're going in a fight, you don't think you can win. What's the point?
Did you ever take a fight you didn't think you could win?
Never.
No.
Never.
But you kind of think you can win every fight.
Yeah, of course.
Should you already be at that place in the UFC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you have to be, man. You have to be.
So, and that's why you see the weird things. I don't know if it was Vitor, but I forget who it is, but it was Tony Ferguson and one of those big guys, sitting at a table, and you see Tony's not backing down. Who was it?
Fabricio Verdum.
Okay, Verdum, yeah, and they're going at it, and like part of me is like, yeah, like I guess Tony just is in that mind, like even if it doesn't make sense to us who are watching, Tony's not saying no to nobody. What?
He's batshit crazy anyway.
Like legitimate?
Oh yeah.
Like you've hung with him and it's not.
No,
it's
like
not
I don't hang out with him. Fuck no, he's crazy as shit.
Like scary crazy. Like if you're somewhere with him, like a fight could just break out. Like one of those people you don't want to go out with.
Not like that. Like he's got screw loose for sure.
I wonder if it was loose before fighting or if it got.
I think it was before. Like I met him 10 years ago and he was crazy as shit then. But it's for sure taking a toll on him.
Damn. Is the UFC the gold standard?
Definitely.
So when someone but the best fighters in the world, could they still be over at Bellator? And we just don't know because they have to come to the UFC.
There's some good guys over there for sure. But I personally don't think that. I'm trying to think of a guy that's over there that is better than. Like, look at Bader. Bader was a 2-division champion over there. I mean, he was top 15 in the UFC, but he wasn't, trying to think. I don't know if there's anybody over there that could be, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to see, like,
even if they were, what you're saying is that you just can't say it because there's just too many good guys at the UFC. I mean, like you
AJ
have
McKee, are you telling me AJ McKee's going to beat Volkanovski or Holloway or Ortega? I just don't think so, man. Like, maybe I'm wrong.
Right. How nutty is that division too? You have someone like Max Holloway who just.
It's nuts, man. It's completely nuts.
Hey, what about that fight with Max and Calvin Kattar? When you see something like that, are you like, hey, that shouldn't have happened? That's just too many punches for a fighter to take. Like, I didn't enjoy that as a fan. Like, I start to get uncomfortable.
Listen, bro, when you sign up for it, it's a fight. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He was still moving. He was still there.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to call because he's still conscious. He's still defending himself. He's still there. He's just getting hit a lot. You know what I mean? Like, what do? You stop it. You stop it when he's still defending it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Right.
That's a tough one.
That Sugar Shane fight was the same thing. He fought that guy who took the fight at the last minute. It was the guy's UFC debut. The guy with the big fro, the guy who's all the hype in the 135 class. You know what I'm talking about?
Sean O'Malley?
Sean O'Malley. Yeah. Sorry. Sean O'Malley.
Yeah.
That fight that he had with that dude, do you know which fight I'm talking about?
The green hair guy?
Yeah.
That guy started to bring it in round 3 though.
That one they maybe should have let go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's different. You know what I mean? Like, it's so hard you have to look at every fight as an individual basis. It's really difficult to compare.
When I watched your highlight reels as a fighter, when I watch your videos as a coach, the thought came to me that you're really brave with your words, that you're not a you take risks in the corner. You say stuff to them that with a candor that like do you ever wonder like maybe if your honesty could backfire, or do you ever second guess what you're saying because you are so brave with your words?
Man, can you give me an example?
This big guy, I feel his last name starts with an M.
Marquez?
I think so. He was the guy that you weren't friends with, and you slowly built a relationship, and now you guys are pals.
Julian Marquez.
And you're in the corner, and you're basically, and then there was another guy, a blonde-haired guy. You're basically just a lighter weight guy than that guy Marquez, and you're basically like, hey, fuck nut, you better go out there and like knock this fucking dude's head off. Stop fooling around. We didn't basically come here. You have no choice now. And like, you're just telling them what they have to do. It's almost like you're playing a video game, but it's someone's life. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're giving them a directive, and like, you have to be so sure. I feel like would have to be so sure about what you're saying to tell someone do it. Cause like we said, it's the fight game.
I was sure.
It's the end of the road.
I was sure. And you got to know, you can't talk to every athlete like that, but I know Julian, and I know I could talk to him like that. And I know that's what he needed to hear. And that was the reality. The reality is as soon as I walked back to the corner, I said, you got to knock him out or don't fucking count. And that was where we were at. We were going to lose if we didn't finish him. You know what I mean? So that's what he needed to hear. Whether he wanted to hear that or not, that's on him. You know, my job is not to my job is to coach the athlete to the best possible chance of success in that fight. And I know my athletes really well, and I know which ones can handle harsh talk and which ones can't. Julian can. And I knew that, and I knew that we needed to finish or we were going to lose. And that's so, yeah, I was 100% confident in saying that. Has it backfired on me before? I'm sure it has. But I don't really, it's won us fights more times than it's backfired on me. I can tell you that right now. It's won us fights we were down in more times than not. So
on my podcast, I say a lot. And on my Instagram, I tell people, listen, you fat motherfuckers, you better stop eating added sugar and refined carbohydrates. No one who doesn't eat added sugar or refined carbohydrates has died from COVID. Not one fucking healthy person has died. So you fat fuckers better get to fucking work. Start showing some discipline, quit drinking soda and get on scale. And my wife's like, hey man, like that's a bit harsh, man, calling those people fat. Like, and I'm like, dude, it's life or death now. It's not like I'm like, and if you need like your handheld, like I'm not the right podcast or the right Instagram account for you, but like, it's serious.
I mean, they have the choice to choose you though.
Yes. And your fighters have the choice to choose you.
Yeah. And if they don't like what I'm saying, they can get the fuck down the road.
Yeah. Do not. And it sounds like from the videos I've seen of the gym, you make that very clear in the gym.
Very clear. Very fucking clear. And listen, I mean, what am I supposed to say? I'm supposed to go in the corner and be like, you know, maybe we should probably try to finish this guy because we might be down. That's not leadership. That's not leadership.
Ooh,
that's not leadership. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a coach. There's no confidence in that. You know what I mean? Successful people are confident in their decisions. They make quick decisions confidently. You know, that's
say that line again. Say that line again.
Successful people make quick decisions confidently.
You said something in an interview that I've only heard maybe I like you so much because you say so many great things that I say. You said that you like being led. You're the kind of person and I love being led. I love being around good leaders.
People crave good leadership.
I love good leadership. I had some amazing leaders in my last job. And I was just like one in particular. And you know what's interesting? He was a military guy. He was a SEAL guy, a SEAL Team 6 guy. And the thing is he came from a place where every decision was like life or death, right? I don't know if every decision, but that's how I romanticize it in my own head. And like, so I liked it. There was no gray area. There was no niceties. There was no like, hey, motherfucker, stand there. If someone comes in without a wristband, tell them to go away and be here for the next 20 minutes and then move over to this position. And like, I just knew what to do.
Yep.
Like, right?
Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to, if people have an automatic bullshit detector wired in their brain. And if they don't feel like you're delivering the information confidently, they're not going to trust you. Like, they're not going to trust you. So listen, man, regardless of if I believe it or not, you're getting it like I fucking believe it. You know what I mean? And I do believe it 9.9 times out of 10. I believe what I tell these guys, and I'm very honest with them. And you know, I think we trust each other. They trust me to give them the correct information. So whenever I deliver it to them, I got to deliver it to them with clarity. There can't be any, this is fighting. You know what I mean? Like, we're fucking fist fighting, man. This isn't a play. We're not running plays. It's not basketball play. It's not a fucking passing route. Like, I'm trying to hurt this person. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the reality of it. And you can't compare other sports and shit like that to fighting, because this is not a fucking sport, man. Like, they've you use the term romanticized it into a sport. It's not a sport. It's a fucking most primitive goddamn thing since mankind. Like, we're trying to kill each other here. It's a simulated murder is what we're doing.
I like the way in one interview you said, so you drive a nicer car than me and your girlfriend's prettier than mine, but I can beat you up.
Yeah.
Now what?
It's done.
I win.
Yeah.
Or I did beat you up. How do you not damage your child's bullshit radar? So like, you have kids. How do you make it so that your kids, you can keep that bullshit radar intact in them? Keep their awareness intact. Or cultivate it. If it doesn't, maybe I'm misrepresenting it, mischaracterizing it. Maybe it's not about keeping it intact, but it's about cultivating someone who's in touch with that shit?
I think being honest with them. You know, I think being honest with them. I don't press my kids on it. Like, my life is not my kids' life. I try to teach them things that I feel like are important in life, not that are important to me, that are important in life. And they're able to take that information and do whatever they want with it. If my kid doesn't want to have anything to do with MMA, they don't have to. I allow them to create on their own. I allow them, I try to give them all the tools and all the information, and they can do with that what they want. I tell them what has made me successful and what I feel like is a good person. And those are my definitions, my interpretations of what good people are, of what success is, and what good human beings do. I try to give them that information, not by telling them, but by acting. You know what I mean? Kids don't do what you tell them. Kids would do what you do, So I want to give them all the information, and then they can do what they want, but I try to be honest with them as much as I can, the world's a pretty shitty place, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, I try to be honest with them, and I try to give them the information and at least guide them. I think for me, I look at parenting as kind of like I'm kind of like a tour guide. I'm not necessarily taking them to go this. Like, I'm just, hey, along the way, this is over here if you want to check this out. This is over here if you want to check this out. I am guiding them through life. I'm not forcing them through life. And I feel like that's how you create trust with your kids.
I like it. You had mentioned that there was someone in your life about who helped you see the victim mindset and to shift your mindset. Was that person forced upon you, or did you choose? No,
they gave me the option, and it was something that I wanted, that I craved. I wanted to be better. This person had something that I wanted, success, and I had money, beautiful family, drove nice cars, had everything that I wanted. And I said, well, what do I got to do to get this? And he gave me all the tools, and I started doing it. Like, I started reading the books, and I formed my own interpretations. Like, he had some views that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I was able to have all the information and go with that.
Is it someone in the MMA scene?
No.
Wow. No. That's awesome. Well, for me, I was in the workplace, and I wanted to keep my job. So I would just listen to this guy's fucking bullshit nonstop. And then finally one day I was like, oh wow, this isn't bullshit.
Yeah. This guy's on it.
Like, I'm starting to get, yeah. Stop being a defensive, pussy, and listen a little bit. Like,
I mean, however the information is delivered to you, man, I mean? It's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah. It's interesting that, that you knew that you needed to be better and you went to it. You talk about your gym and your cohort and the guys wanting to be there. When you see what's going on over at Daisy Fresh, are you familiar with this? Okay, so there's this. Do you know about the Pedigo submission team out of Mount Vernon, Illinois? You don't know about these guys?
Nope.
Yeah, you're too busy. You got to look these guys up. Daisy Fresh.
Okay.
They're basically just stormed. In the last 15 years, they're just slowly, I shouldn't say stormed on. Now it's become a storm, but they've worked their ass off to fucking basically take over the jiu-jitsu scene. And what they are is this fucking guy, Heath Pedigo. And I bet you somewhere your paths have crossed. He's old school. He basically rented an abandoned laundromat in Mount Vernon, Illinois, total shithole town, and basically covered the floor with jiu-jitsu mats and started a jiu-jitsu club there. And these boys, it's like fucking Peter Pan, James. These boys fucking come from all over the fucking country, from the most harshest conditions, like places where you drink Mountain Dew because you got no running water in your house. And they just train jiu-jitsu there. And now they got like world champions. You never heard this dude, the Hillbilly Hammer?
I'm sure the Daisy Fresh thing rings a bell.
Now, yeah, okay.
I'm sure I have. I'm not familiar with it, but I feel like I've heard the terms.
So these are my words, not theirs, but these boys are fighting because I think they're fighting because they don't want to go back to what they came from, right? They lived in a trailer with an abusive mom, a drug addict stepdad, and fucking no water and no bathroom, right? And no electricity. Like, I mean, you can't even believe some of the shit's from the United States, right?
Yeah.
And so you see what their motivation is.
Yeah.
They see an out, and it's through this jujitsu thing, and sleeping on the mats at the gym is no big deal, right? What is the motivation? Like for you, for your gym, what is their motivation? I know you've done a great job with leadership, and they need to be accountable to you, right? And that's awesome.
Yeah.
But is there any like common thread between all of them that makes them like that? Like, are they avoiding their past also?
Some people are. I think the common denominator with everybody is creating freedom from whatever, financials, family, freedom, doing what you love every day. You know, I think people have seen the life that I've created for myself, and a lot of these guys want that. And you know, I think it's freedom. It comes with freedom to do whatever you want with your time. And then obviously they're doing what they love to do every day. I think that's part of it. Freedom is the answer. You know, whatever they're trying to free themselves from can vary. Some people try to free themselves from money, tough past, harsh conditions, depression, all walks of life, whatever. You know, whatever it is, they're trying to free themselves, and they do that through an outlet. And their outlet just so happens to be beating people up.
3 pages of notes. I've had you for 55 minutes. I'm going to bug you again. Tell me when next time you have fighters fighting.
I have James Gallagher, November 5th on Bellator.
Okay. Dude, you're the man.
Thank you.